Reading with your kids.
Hola, ni hao, konnichiwa, assalamu alaikum, shalom, jumbo, bienvenidos. Hi, my name is Jedley, and this is the Reading with Your Kids podcast, coming to you from the lovely neighborhood of Reedville and the southwest corner of Boston, Massachusetts. We are so excited that you're part of our Reading with Your Kids family. Please be sure to connect with us on Facebook, facebook.com/Reading with Your Kids, on Twitter @MagicJedley, and on Instagram, it's Reading with Your Kids. Our guest today is the author of With the Curiosity of a Cat, Donna Sager Cowan. We are so excited to have Donna back here on the show to talk about the new addition to her Superhero School series. It is such a great middle grade series. Hey, I want to tell you about a great event that is happening today. Yes, we are releasing this episode of the podcast on September 14th. And today, September 14th at 3 p.m., you can experience Jedley's totally interactive magic circus at the Joseph Avenue Arts and Cultural Alliance, all part of the Rochester Fringe Festival in Rochester, New York. This is going to be an absolutely fantastic show. I love Jedley's totally interactive magic circus because I get to be on stage sharing my magic, sharing my inspiration, and having folks on stage with me, selected at random, performing amazing tricks and illusions. And it is the folks in the audience who are doing all the magic. It really is wonderful. And I'm really excited because the folks at the Joseph Avenue Arts and Cultural Alliance have made sure that this show is absolutely free to the public. It is all part of Rochester Fringe Festival happening today, September 14th at 3 p.m., 200 Avenue D in Rochester, New York, all part of Rochester Fringe at Joseph Avenue Arts and Cultural Alliance. Joining us on the line right now from the Sacramento area in California. You've heard me talk about book one in her Superhero School series a lot here on the show. We're really excited to welcome back Donna Sager Cowan as she is announcing book two in the series. Donna, welcome back. How are you?
I am fantastic, and I am so excited about this second book in the series with the Curiosity of a Cat coming out as a book two, where we're going to continue on the adventure of the Superhero School.
This is really exciting. Book one, With the Courage of a Mouse, was really, really popular, and folks really loved hearing about it. And it's one also that's received all sorts of fantastic recognition.
Yes, I am so very happy with the recognition and the favorable reviews that I've received. It's a dream come true for a new writer to come out the gate and actually produce something that people really want and love. So I can't thank people enough for everything that they've had to say. And, the couple of awards that I've won and, a couple that I'm still up for.
That's really wonderful. Now, the Superhero series is a middle grade series for kids age 7 to 12. Am I right about that?
Yes.
And one of the things I love about it is the series is looking to inspire kids to find the superhero that lives inside all of us.
Right, and it goes beyond that. That was kind of the initial jumping off point for book one, and in book two we kind of expand on that, and it's about finding that inner superhero, but it's also about embracing all the things that make us different from the people around us, and enjoying those differences, and being able to come together as like puzzle pieces that makes a beautiful world for everyone.
I love that you say that, and I love the way you said that. We hear a lot about the importance of kids embracing others who are different and celebrating diversity, and really kind of understanding that not everybody is the same, and that we all have different talents and skills. So we need to, and we all face different challenges. So we really need to embrace folks who are different from us and be willing to work with them, be willing to be friends with them. But the way you presented it, it was first you kind of said, well, first we have to understand and embrace our differences and how we're different and love that about ourselves.
Right, because I think this is kind of the talking point that gets lost in the conversation. We talk so much about what other people have and what other things we should be accepting, but oftentimes when I talk to these kids, they are more closed off about what makes them different, that they're trying to hide and disguise and become part of the mainstream. And it's like, no, you should celebrate what makes you different, because what makes you different makes you unique and makes you the exact thing that other person is looking for.
And you know something, I had this revelation with my son when he was in middle school, and I was just watching him and a group of his friends interacting, and it became quite apparent to me that they were all pretending that they knew everything, and they were all pretending that they were really confident and that they knew what was going on. And the reason they were working so hard pretending is because they thought that everybody else had it figured out, and they didn't want to be exposed as the only one who didn't figure it out. And I just kind of out of frustration said to him one day, none of you guys know anything, so just kind of embrace that, love that, and relax and just enjoy being you.
Well, and it's another thing that I try to share when I go into some of the schools is that, life is the journey. It is the adventure of learning all of these things and all of these changes in diversity that we talk about. So if you approach it with, I already know everything, then what exact adventure can you have?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. If you're already at the finish line, kind of the journey's over.
Right. And it's like, if you're so excited about what, it's like you're going on a trip somewhere that you've never been before, and you're so excited about, oh, I want to see this and I want to do that and I want to try this and all of these things. But if you go into it with, I've read all about that, I've seen pictures of it, it's like, people talk to me about doing that stuff, and you're just kind of setting yourself up for not having an adventure and not having fun. You're kind of almost like taking away the excitement.
Yeah. My wife and I have kind of adopted that way of thinking in our traveling, where I was sharing with Donna that my wife and I and my daughter are headed down to Costa Rica in just a few days. And there's some things that we're aware of and that we'd like to see, but we have absolutely no itinerary. We're just kind of going to show up and see where the wind blows us.
Right. And I think sometimes that is the greatest adventure is, an unplanned life, because you're up for almost anything, and that's kind of what we have with my adventures in my books. We have Simon and Kat, they are the main characters, and they do have their two friends, Patty and Freddie, and they are just going about their lives trying to do the things that they're supposed to do, and then boom, something happens and they're off on this crazy adventure, and problems pop up and challenges pop up, and they have to think on their feet. But that is what creates the excitement and the learning and the dependence on each other through their entire journey. It's that it is so random and that it wasn't planned that makes the journey so much more meaningful to them, and I hope to the reader.
You bring up something that I think gets lost these days. We talk about superheroes, and we talk to our kids about superheroes, and that image that immediately conjures up this image of strength, of courage, of independence. And sometimes we forget to tell our kids and remind our kids that sometimes the most courageous thing that we can do is to allow ourselves to be dependent on our friends and our neighbors.
Right. You have we don't live in a vacuum. We don't live inside of a sealed baggie in life. We have to go out and interact with everyone. And part of the reason that I started the Superhero School series was to let them know these are characters that are learning how to become superheroes. And in learning to become superheroes, they're going to fail. They're going to mess up. They're going to have problems that they don't know how to solve. But what we learn at the end of the day, superheroes are pretty much like everybody else. They just have to do the best they can and, meet the challenges with grace and with courage. And then at the end of the day, understand what it is that they learn and just go on and be better the next day.
You bring up something that we've talked about here on the podcast a lot, and it's that idea of failure. And I think it's really important to let our kids know that there are going to be moments in their life that they are going to fail. It's not an option. It is going to happen sometimes, and that's okay, because they have the strength to learn from their failures. And I think we as parents, too many of us, and we're all guilty of it. We don't want our kids to be hurt. We don't want our kids to be sad. And we kind of protect them from that failure, and we try to put them in a bubble so that they never have to experience disappointment. But it's not realistic, and it's not healthy.
Well, no, it's not. And, I continually say this. It's like you never learn anything from being perfect. Mm-hmm. You only learn when you mess up. Mm-hmm. So, be not afraid to go ahead and mess up, because that's what teaches you to be stronger, better, faster the next time. Because if you do it exactly right every single time, then there's nothing for you to learn. Mm-hmm. It's like you're not pushing yourself. You're almost like you're standing still. So, yeah, we need to get away from this fear of failure, because I don't see it as failure. I see it as, okay, I tried that. It didn't work. Why didn't it work? Let me try it again. It's when you're learning to walk, it's like we don't ever, as babies, stop to think, well, I just fell down 22 times. I don't think I want to try it anymore. Mm-hmm. We're just like, okay, the goal is to walk. So we just keep trying until we get it. Mm-hmm. And I think we need to approach life that way, is we just keep trying until we get it right.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, I'm excited because one of the things that you wanted to do tonight is to share with us an excerpt from With the Curiosity of a Cat. So, can you, kind of recap where the first book left off and what we're going to experience in the new story?
Absolutely. Well, in book one, again, we have the four main characters. We have Cat. She is a cat from the real world, and she ends up in Sweet Meadows, which is Simon's world. Simon is a mouse, and he's kind of ingenious. He likes to collect things. He likes to fix things, and he always has a plan for everything. And then we have their friends that are Patty. She's a pig, and she's very tech savvy. She's into all kinds of things that are computer or electrical devices, and she can basically make them do anything. And then we have Freddie, the frog. Freddie is kind of the smallest of the group, but he really is kind of the glue that holds them together. He is the one that runs around and makes nice and solves, all of the little life problems so that they can get on with trying to be superheroes. So we pick up the second book where they are going to their second class of superhero school, and the teacher tells them that they must go skydiving so that they can learn how to fly like most superheroes. They need to experience flight. Well, Cat, being a cat, is not real thrilled about being in a plane or jumping out of said plane. Mm-hmm. So she's scared. And Simon, he's really ready to do this. This is exciting to him. But he's having a hard time convincing Cat to jump out of that plane. And so at the end, it's just Cat and Simon in the plane with the pilot. And Simon falls out of the plane because he's not really paying attention because he's so busy trying to convince Cat. And his parachute doesn't work. So then Cat is met with the dilemma that, what am I going to do? Am I going to watch my best friend fall and not make it, or am I going to jump out of this plane and, gather my courage and go save my best friend, which she does. But, the problem is because of all of these things happening, they don't land where they're supposed to. They end up in the jungle. Okay, so this begins their foray into their new adventure, because now they are far away from home in a jungle with no one around to help them. So here we go. We're going to talk about that, and we're going to begin this excerpt from Book 2 with the curiosity of a cat.
Awesome.
Cat heard a faint cry off to her left. She stopped to listen, certain the wind was playing tricks as it whistled through the leaves. Help! Cat heard it clearly. Sniff. Please help me. A weak and tiny voice floated through the trees, yet Simon didn't hesitate. Had he not heard it? Cat shook her head and called for Simon to stop. When he turned, she pointed to the left of the path. Simon stomped toward Cat, shaking his head with a tiny pleading voice drifted out again. Hello? Pause. Is anyone there? Can you help me? Please? Simon peered into the foliage, frowning and scratching his ear. Cat didn't need to hear any more. She pushed the heavy vines away and charged toward the voice. Someone needed help, and she was going to give it. Cat! Simon cried out, scampering under leaves and branches to catch up. Cat didn't even slow down. Her fluffed tail snagged on thorns, but when a low growl rolled over the tiny voice, Cat halted. Simon bumped into her back, his tail pointed straight to the sky. What was that? They both said at the same time. Simon's eyes were large and round with fear as he pushed the underbrush out of the way. Simon and Cat found themselves on a ledge looking down into a valley filled with odd metal boxes stacked in neat rows. Some of them had bars on either side. The closest one was dark, yet Cat could make out a large shape inside. Its yellow eyes glowing in the shadows, its white teeth flashed, quick and deadly, dripping with saliva. Cat and Simon both stepped back under the cover of the thicket. The tiny voice cried out again. It was coming from that very box. Was there a monster trying to hurt the small creature? Fear quivering from every nerve, Cat stepped forward on shaky legs. No one mistreated a small and weak person. In her presence, she would... What? Die trying to save someone she didn't know? Was that her plan? What about Simon? Simon was frozen in place, staring at the box, his ears twitching, his fur bristled. He was holding himself rigid against the urge to dive into the nearest hole. Simon always had Cat's back, but she was on her own to make a plan this time. Cat gulped and timidly placed one paw in front of the other, inching closer to the box. The yellows tracked her progress, moving closer to the bars between them. She shuddered, but continued to creep steadily closer when a growl rattled the cage. Simon jumped on her back and held tight. Certain they were going to die, Cat hightailed it back to the safety of the vines. Cat swallowed her fear. She was safe on this side of the bars. Whatever was behind them was afraid and needed her help. With sure steps, she twisted through the tangled branches and peered into the dark cage. Oh, please, the tiny voice pleaded. Can you help me? I just want to go home. When Cat's eyes adjusted to the shadows, she saw a small panther cub huddled in the corner of a box, its lower lip quivering. The cage wasn't very big, but the poor baby looked so tiny inside. A loud growl echoed from another cage, making Cat jump. Simon pressed against her neck, expecting danger to overtake them at any second. The small pampered mewed and burrowed deeper into the tattered blanket on the dirt floor. Simon jumped back, and Cat stepped forward, looking up and down the scattered rows of boxes. What is this place, she wondered, in the middle of a jungle? Don't leave me here, the cub cried. I'm so scared. Simon shook his head and pointed to the building at the end of the rows of cages. Hidden in the trees, Cat hadn't noticed, but the door flew open and an odd silence washed over the valley. Birds ceased their incessant chatter. Even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Cat took a step toward the building, but Simon pushed her into a small gap between two boxes. He squeezed past her deep into the shadows. The space was tight, but Cat followed as best she could, dragging her pack on the ground when she couldn't fit otherwise. Simon touched a finger to his lips. He hugged the metal walls, edging away from the crying cub. A loud thud caused Cat to freeze. The noise came again near the baby panther's box. She heard screeching laughter in a foreign language that was punctuated by oohs and ahs. She looked at Simon, who mouthed, monkeys.
Wow. Well, I know folks can't wait to get this new book I understand you're running a promotion to celebrate the release of the book, and the book is officially going to be released on November 12th. What was that promotion you were telling me about?
Well, I am running a pre-order promotion. If they pre-order book 2 before October 31st, they will receive a ebook copy of book 1 for free.
That is fantastic. That's a great deal. So they have time to read book 1 and then be ready when book 2 is available.
Absolutely. And if they want to catch me on my website, we will be having a few sneak peeks. We're going to release a few of the illustrations from book 2 early so they can kind of get a little peek behind the curtain. We will have a few more excerpts between now and November the 12th where we're going to give them a few little hints at what's coming in book 2. But we're excited. We're so excited for this second book. I am just, I can't wait, and I am so ready to get started on book 3. We're planning on it to come out in 2020 with The Passion of a Pig.
Wow. Well, this is real exciting. Now, you teased us about your website and the sneak previews. Remind us of where folks can go to get those previews.
Well, I try to make it pretty simple. It is DonnaSagerCowan.com. You can check all my social media there, all my upcoming events, get all the sneak peeks and dates, and in kind of specials that we're running for the book 1 and book 2.
And the pre-order is at Amazon?
We will have the pre-order up for Amazon, and I am hoping to have it also for Barnes & Noble and Kobo as well.
That is excellent. Well, we can't wait for November 12th to come out, but in the meantime, get yourself down, pre-order your copy of With the Curiosity of a Cat by our guest Donna Sager Cowan, and you can receive book 1, ebook version of book 1 for free. That is a fantastic deal, and it's just going to be so much fun for so many families.
Well, I can't wait, and I am so excited, and I just also want to remind any of the parents or teachers or librarians or any children's group members out there, if they would like to book me for visits, I'm available. And again, they can just reach me through the website, and it will take you directly to the forms and schedule that you need to check for that.
We have been speaking to the author of the Superhero School series. The new book is going to be available on November 12th. It's called With the Curiosity of a Cat. Donna Sager Cowan. Donna, thank you so much for being part of our show.
Well, thank you for having me. I am so excited. I can't wait for this to come out and get on to the next one and the one after that. I need to tell this story. Kat and Simon need to be out in the world.
Please be sure to join us for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. Our guest will be Forlanda Anderson. She is going to be telling us about her wonderful book, Bully Me Not, My Faith Saved Me. That is the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast. If you are the author of a fantastic children's book, we would love to help you celebrate that book. Being a guest on the podcast is fun, it's easy, and it gives you the chance to tell thousands and thousands of people about your fantastic children's book. All you need to do is go to our website, readingwithyourkids.com, click on the contact button, let us know about your great book. We will let you know the next easy steps, and they really are easy. I also want to encourage you, if you are anywhere in the in Western New York, and especially if you are in the Rochester area, please get on down to the Joseph Avenue Arts and Cultural Alliance on 200 Avenue D in Rochester, New York. Today, September 14th at 3 p.m., Jedley's Totally Interactive Magic Circus will be filling the Joseph Avenue Arts and Culture Alliance with lots and lots of totally interactive magic. I would love to see you guys there. If you do come down, please be sure to come up and introduce yourself and say hi. Want to thank the folks who made today's show so very wonderful. Of course, we want to thank the author of With the Curiosity of a Cat, Donna Sager Cowan. I want to thank my amazing producer, Fatima Khan, for all she does for us here on the show. Please be sure to check out her blog, readingwithyourkids.com. I want to thank my beautiful wife for all of the support she gives me. I want to thank Augie the Wonder Dog for having my back here in the Reedville studios. And I want to thank you. Thank you so much for having your kids back. Thank you so much for taking the time to make the world a better place. And you really do that every time you read with your kids. I'll be looking for the next edition of the Reading with Your Kids podcast.